Hello, this is going to be a nice simple guide on my personal favourite front-end ESDE, EmulationStation Desktop Edition. Now, this is a paid app. The way to acquire it is if you sign up to the ESDE Patreon, which you can do just through Chrome. Just Google ESDE Patreon and then load that up. So you can see here £4.50 a month. Obviously that'll be different for your local currency, probably about $5–6. So it also says here it's not a subscription. You pay once, then you turn off the recurring billing and they add you to a mailing list. Then anytime there's an update, they'll drop you an email with a link to the APK file. So assuming you've done that, we're going to go to download it from the link and it'll be in your Files app. We're going to tap that and then install it. And then we won't open it just yet. So there's a couple of things I also want to get to fully set this up to work at its best. So we're going to go into our good old friend Obtainium. We're going to drop that. Now for front end, we are looking for, so in our utilities, so we don't need the ESD Android apps. This was an older menu to basically import the Android apps into ESDE. It now has that support natively, but we are going to get Rob Zombie's ESDE companion. Love his music. Some of his movies are okay. This is the best thing he's ever done. So we'll tap that and we'll install that as well. We're also, whilst we're here, we're going to get Mjolnir. Mjolnir itself isn't a launcher. It's a way to, it's basically a launcher manager. So it allows you to have separate launchers on the top and the bottom screen. So the first thing we're going to do is set up Mjolnir. So it's relatively straightforward. Firstly, you initialize it. It's going to ask you for some permissions. We're just going to allow all those. We're going to allow the accessibility service where you have to go into here and tick use. It'll let you know. We'll allow. We'll go back. And then we'll go to here, the little burger menu. We'll go to Mjolnir Home Settings. For our top screen app, I'm going to select ESDE. For our bottom screen, I'm going to select ESDE Companion. There is some setup involved with both of these, which I'll cover shortly. So that's basically a quick overview of Mjolnir. So once that's done, I'm going to enable the home. And then if I press the home, here we go. So I've got setups all over the shop. So first, I'm going to do ESDE, because that's going to give us some folders that we need to fully enable the companion app. So we'll begin setup. So we're going to allow permissions, pretty standard Android fare. We're going to select our directory. It says it's recommended to name it ESD. I already have one here from a previous installation, so I'm just going to use that one. But if you don't, in your base storage, just create a folder called ES-DE and use that one, and then we'll allow it. For our ROMs, I'm going to select our ROMs folder. If you've seen my other videos and you notice I have 100 million ROMs folders, this is why. ESDE will create them for you. So for as powerful as it is, this can be a bit of a bugbear for some people. But personally, I've learned to adapt in a decade plus of using it. So we can create system directories. You can skip that. I prefer to just create them. I understand. It's going to create the system directories. If they're already there, it's going to look for the games. So I can see it's already pulled through the systems that have games. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to set up the companion side of it. So we're going to come down to our bottom screen. It's going to ask us to grant the storage permissions, select the scripts folder, which will be inside the folder we've just created. It'll create those scripts. Then we'll select where our media is downloaded and we'll enable those scripts. This basically allows it to find the relevant artwork for whatever's highlighted. So in another tribute to the great Russ from Retro Game Core, yeah man, I want to do it. We're going to grant permissions, tick that, go back. So you can just use the default, which will automatically find that folder. I have it at the default path. If not, you can select folder and do it that way. And then it'll ask you, can you create the scripts? Yes, we'll create the scripts. The scripts already exist. I'll overwrite them. Yours, it will just create them. And then for downloaded media, I'm also going to use the default folder because it's in my root storage. If it's not, if you have it on a SD card, for example, you can use select folder and then go to the relevant folder. So what I need to do now is on the top screen, I need to press start. I'm going to go down to other settings, and then I'm going to keep scrolling down. I'm going to turn on enable custom event scripts and browsing custom events. So I already had those enabled because I had a prior installation. You probably won't. So once that's done, I've enabled the scripts. Just a quick overview. Please browse to a system. So there we go. So it just does a test. So to start with, you're just going to have what they call a marquee, which is just like the game logo. So what I'll do is cover some basic settings for EmulationStation, and then I'll look at the companion side. So the first thing you want to do is start in your UI settings. You can have a look at a theme. So it'll give you a little one here saying it's going to take a little while to download the themes repository. It doesn't take too long, probably 30 seconds or so. There we are. So I have my favorite theme already. You can look through, download as many as you want, have a play around, find what works for you. This is purely aesthetic. So my personal favorite theme at the moment is IISU Interpreted. I also like Iconic. Iconic's really nice as well, but I've been really enjoying IISU Interpreted, so I'm just going to download that for now as an example. Excellent. So I want to back out of that, and then for my theme, I'm going to pick IISU Interpreted. So each of these themes comes with variants, so they might have different icons or slightly different layouts. For me, I like grid, and I like the dark colour scheme, which it's remembered. I think it defaults to bright, and it's hotter and brighter than the sun. So we're going to back out. There we go. So as you can see, I've got the companion app is working alongside it. It's great. So we're going to carry on going through some of these main menu settings first. So for sound settings, I don't like having the audio on the screensaver. The media view is okay. Navigation sounds are fine, although they're a little bit annoying. I do think they are quite loud, so I tend to drop this right down to about 20%. I have got the device muted currently, but you'll notice it. Input device, so controller type, I'm going to switch this to a Switch Pro, just so it knows we've got the layout relevant. Enable touch overlay, I'm going to disable it. It'll give you a warning, which is standard. Obviously, we're playing on a device which has a controller welded into it, but if you were playing on a phone and you disable the touchscreen overlay, EmulationStation doesn't handle touch input, so you'd essentially have to bin it and start again. However, we're okay. If you want to swap the A and B and XY buttons, you can do so. A lot of these aren't really applicable to this. For game collection, you can have some automatics. So for example, all and favorites or last played, I always enable those just for ease of access. Sorting favorites on top of the list. I don't do this, but you can if you want. Basically, you can mark games as favorites. If you have this enabled, it will shift them to the top of the list. There's also things like star markings for custom collections. That is all personal preference. So in other settings, so alternative emulators. So some of these I will need to change. So a lot of these will be if it doesn't say standalone next to it, it's usually the RetroArch core. So for example, this Dolphin, it's not looking at the standalone one, which is there. It's looking at the RetroArch core, which we don't want. So I'm going to change that to standalone. The same for so NES, I'm not using Meson, I'm using FCU-EUM. PS2 standalone, obviously it's neither SX2, but that's fine. PSP is PS2. PSX, I use DuckStation. SNES, I use SNES 9X, the current one. Switch, so I use Eden for Switch, and it's not here. So what I will do is shortly I will show you how to fix that problem. So most of these showing hidden games, showing hidden files and folders I don't tend to do. Launch game is another screen. I believe you can set this per game, although for this I just tend to have everything on the top screen because I'm a monster. You can enable menu in kid mode, which stops them playing around with a lot of settings. Usually that's more for if you have personal arcade cabinets and things like that. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. And for utilities, if you've got games you've got off the Google Play Store, you can import them that way. If you need to force a rescan of the ROM directory, if you add new games to it, you can do it that way, or you can just quit out of the app and it does it on start anyway. Or if you need to create or update your system directories, it's all relatively straightforward. Now, for a lot of these, you'll notice, I do have artwork. So because I've already scraped all these, the artwork is showing. Yours, unfortunately, won't be as pretty. So for scraper, you're going to want to scrape from Screen Scraper or the Games DB. The Games DB is free, but it's slower, and I find that the matches aren't as good. Screen Scraper, I've mentioned in other videos, you should get an account. It's free. There's a free tier. There's a pay tier. It's a few euros. I think the max tier is 10 euros. It's a one-off donation, and it gives you up to 100,000 scrapes. A scrape can be, if you've got many different types of media, each one is a scrape. I'll show you that shortly. So for scraping, I always start with no metadata, and that'll run through and get all the ones that don't already have something. You can scrape one system at a time. You can do them all. I probably advise doing one at a time because it's a big job. You can input your screensaver settings there, so it uses the account. I've already done that. Content. So this is what it will download. So each one of these is a scrape. So if you imagine if you've got 100,000 scrapes, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Potentially, you've got 13 scrapes, which when you've got 100,000, you're never going to hit that limit. But on the free tier, I think you have about 1,000, so it is potential that you hit that limit and you have to wait 24 hours for it to reset, which you don't want to do. Mix image, this is a mix image generator that you can have. So basically what it'll do is it'll create an image of the game art and the logo and the description and all, basically all the different components of the scraped art, and it'll put them into one nice image. I'll show you that on the companion app shortly. And there's all sorts of parameters here for what you want, and then in other settings, even as an Englishman, I have the region as USA because I find it pulls the better artwork. With preferred language, you can have it overwrite. Now, interactive mode, if you want to tell it which one you want to use, you can do so. However, I've got about 3,000 games on here. That's going to take a while. So what I tend to do for the first run is I disable interactive mode and I let it assume everything. Anything it can't match, it will tell you if you've skipped it. Then I do a second run for no metadata, and then I change it to interactive mode. And then for the ones it couldn't find, I can help manually browse. But I'll leave that on for now because I've already done the bulk of the work. And then you just hit start. So I'm not going to do that now because I've already done it and it'll take years. Now for the companion, what we can do, if we press and hold on it, it should, I think I have to be in game. There we go. You can enable widget edit mode. So I'm going to turn the snap to grid on, show the grid. And what this allows us to do is edit what we see on this screen. So I have covered this in the overview video, but just to recap, there's my marquee, I think they call it, the little icon. I'm going to add so we can have the mix image here. So this is what's generated. So as you can see, I'll just blow this up. I've got the box art, the physical media, and a nice screenshot of Banjo-Kazooie. So if you're interested in that, that's available. Personally, I just like having the marquee and I like the game description, just because on this particular theme, the game description isn't there. So it's nice to be able to quickly browse through, especially for games you haven't played or you're less familiar with. So that is basically it. So one last thing I want to do, so make sure that you do disable the edit mode once you're done, otherwise you might find yourself accidentally tapping here, there, everywhere. One thing I'm going to do is there is a custom systems file that we need to put into the system files, so it will allow us to basically get the extra Switch emulators that we don't tend to have. So I'm just going to find it and then I'll show you where to install it. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone into Chrome and I've searched for ESDE Android Custom Systems. So there's 2 XML files here, so this is what we're going to need. As we can see, our good friend Rob Zombie has contributed to this 2 hours ago. So I'm just going to download both of these files. So I'm going to tap into them, press the little download icon on 1 and 2. And then in the description here, or somewhere, it will tell you where to put it. So what we do is we go to our File Explorer, and then we get both of those files. So you can just press and hold to select them, tap the 3 dots, and we're going to move them to our ESDE folder. Custom Systems, we're going to move them in there. And then if we clear all, that will fully close Emulation Station. We're going to press home again just to reset into it. What this will do now, if I go back to the menu and for other settings, alternative emulators, if I go back down to switch, you should see there's a lot more choice. And there's a lot more choice for the other systems as well. So Eden standalone, and there we are. And that is Emulation Station. It's my personal favourite. It's the one I'd recommend when you get a bit more confident with customizing these sorts of systems. If this helped you out, I'd appreciate a like or a subscribe. If you've got any questions or you'd like me to elaborate further, please drop a comment, and I'll see you next time.